What's up, everybody? And welcome back to Whiskey Wednesday. This is week 3. We've made it 3 whole weeks. And I told you last week we were doing something unique. And that's true, we are doing something unique. We have High West says Yippee Ki. Isn't that fun to say? I would buy this bottle had I not known how delicious it is. Just off that fact alone, that I get to say Yippee Ki. Because for some reason in the modern world, we just don't say things like that anymore. Which is probably for the best, to tell you the truth. But anyway, love High West Distillery. This is another distillery that's on the newer end of the spectrum, you know, and by that I mean they're not like Jim Beam, they're not like Old Fire Copper, which is now Buffalo Trace. They're not like Wild Turkey. You know, all of those guys have been around for a long time. Like Buffalo Trace / Old Fire Copper has been around longer than the United States has been a country. Pretty sure that's correct. Or they were here 2 or 3 years after 1776. Anyway, let's talk about High West, which is what's really exciting. Every Yippee Ki bottle comes with this awesome little description on the back that talks about the poster that inspired the whiskey. That being said, this is a blend of rye whiskeys. This batch in particular, I don't believe has any of their distillate in it. I think they've started putting their own distillate in Yippee Ki. I know that they have in the Midwinter's Night Dram. Which we'll do that at some point, because by far one of my favorite whiskeys of all time is the Midwinter's Night Dram. That being said, I don't know the batch of this one either. I actually traded an Elijah Craig barrel proof for this particular bottle, and for some reason the guy scratched out the batch number. Maybe that was accidental. We'll never know. That being said, let's get into this whiskey and give this a nose right out of the gate. One thing to note: this is a blend of rye whiskeys that are finished in 2 different styles of barrels. So that's what makes this unique. Not only is this a 2-year rye and a 16-year rye that they blend together. But they finish it in vermouth barrels by Via, which if you've not had their vermouth, man, they make fantastic vermouth. They have an extra dry that is out of this world good in like a Gibson or a Dirty Martini if you're into that kind of thing, or just a drink by itself with or a little bit of soda water and lemon. That being said, Via vermouth barrels, I'm assuming sweet vermouth, and they finish it in Petite Syrah barrels from a winery in California. Maybe they're from Oregon. West Coast, somewhere out there in the Pacific. So, anywho, I forget the name of the winery. Never had their wine. I don't know. Maybe they should send us some wine. We'll review their wine if you're listening out there. That being said, on the nose, you can definitely smell rich red ripe fruit. Like, it just punches you in the nostrils with how, just like deep, dark, like Marcia cherry right out of the gate. And there's like a creme brulee, like sweetness on the back. I love High West whiskey. Let's go ahead and give it a nice taste. This is a love it or hate it whiskey. It comes off on the front of the palate, super rich, super caramelly. There's a tiny little bit of bitterness that you would experience in like a sweet vermouth that does carry over, but it's almost non-existent. Like it's just there that kind of cuts that sweetness almost immediately and then brings you back to like dried fruit. The nose isn't dried fruit. It's like candied, rich, almost like maraschino cherries. Like you buy like a jar of Luxardo cherries for $20, you know, and you get like a tiny little jar that's that big, and you eat all of them because they're delicious. But when you get to the back end of the palate, going into the finish, it's dried fruit. Fantastic, fantastic blending over at High West. I think that's one aspect of American whiskey that really gets overlooked. As a society of whiskey drinkers and drinkers in general, we over time have become kind of resistant to the idea of blended whiskey, or that blends are an inferior product to, say, single barrels or single malts. That being said, that's really a fallacy. That's not like, it's really nothing that's rooted in reality. You go and you try, Compass Box Scotch. They make some of the best scotches that you can find, and the same with like Kentucky Owl, High West. These guys are doing a fantastic job at putting whiskey together that other people are making. I believe High West takes their older product from Barton. Their younger product was MGP. They may have switched to Bardstown Bourbon Company. They're another group that is doing really fantastic work with the blending world. Man. The thing to say though, where the Yippee really, I wouldn't say falls short, because I think that it's such a unique flavor profile, and one that I'm really akin to because of my love of vermouth in particular. But if you're a wine drinker getting into bourbon, or into American whiskey in general, this is a great choice for you to go with as well. But the one thing that I kind of feel like leaves a little bit of want is the finish. Like, I've been sitting here rambling like a madman, and I couldn't even tell you that I've really been drinking whiskey. Other than the rambling, that's obviously an indicator that there's whiskey in my blood. But the nose is fantastic, the palate's fantastic. The finish is good. I'm not upset about the finish. It's just, if it were as good as the nose and the palate, this would be like knock it out of the park whiskey. That being said, you can get this for like $85. You have to find it, which is the hard part. But $85 is for what you get. It's fantastic in terms of price. For value, I think that this is a great have on your bar shelf and have whenever people come over that appreciate whiskey, or if somebody is a big red wine drinker and they're like, I'd like to try some whiskey. This is a good place to start. I wouldn't put this in a cocktail. That's my personal opinion. High West does make some great products that you can put into cocktails, and I recommend doing that. The Double Rye is one of my absolute favorites. The Rendezvous Rye, which is the non-cast finish version of Yippee, is great as well. It's a little bit pricey. I think that's in like the $60, $65, $70 range. So you may feel odd about putting that in a cocktail. I'd say go for it if you just feel like doing it. The best old fashioned I ever had was with a 2016 George T. Stagg, and it was because the guy that I was serving it to thought that the whiskey was too hot. And that was the year that it was like 144.1 proof. So if you're not used to drinking whiskey, that's if you're used to drinking whiskey, that's hot. But anywho, that being said, High West is a super cool company to get involved with. My water glass for week 3 is actually their little camping coffee mug. Believe it or not, there's not whiskey in this too. Just a little bit of water, and it keeps it nice and cold. and they sent me this cool little whiskey drinking journal. And you open that up, and the first page has the double rye that I was telling you guys about, and all the information filled out for you. And there are 32 other little pages that you can fill out yourself. And all you have to do is go to highwest.com and join their membership club. And you can get all this stuff. They sent this mug to me too. All that stuff they send out to you for free because they're super cool guys, and well, I guess they've got the money to do it now that they've partnered with Constellation Brands. So yeah, I highly recommend doing that. I highly recommend that you hashtag #DrinkHighWest. If you have any comments, concerns, or snide remarks, put them down in the comment section. Subscribe, like the video, tell your friends about us. Thanks for coming back to week 3, and the good news is the week's almost over.